Hey guys, Bitcoin Owen here. Yesterday I was listening to a podcast basically about it was about the Bitcoin Treasury companies basically, and Matt Cole from Strive, the Bitcoin Treasury company, was on the show, was talking basically, and he said that uh, you can you the Bitcoin Treasury Strive is a better investment basically than uh, Bitcoin itself, because when you invest in Bitcoin you get exposure to Bitcoin only, like, but to your, if you buy one Bitcoin basically you get exposure to, you get to your your wealth grows by one Bitcoin basically, but if you buy shares in a treasury company you're getting exposure to thousands of Bitcoin, and they Strive have 12,000 Bitcoin now after their acquisition of their merger with Semler Scientific. They now have 12,000 Bitcoin on their reserve. So if you buy shares in Strive, you get exposure to 12,000 Bitcoin. If you buy shares in Strategy, you gain exposure to 670,000 Bitcoin basically. So your wealth grows a lot faster when you invest in treasury companies compared to just buying Bitcoin on its own. And that's what I'd like to stress today. Basically, if you're in the game of wealth creation, basically wealth generation, then you need to look into Bitcoin treasury companies. If you're getting into Bitcoin, the problem with these treasury companies is that you don't hold the underlying asset. Basically, you don't hold Bitcoin, you hold shares, and that's the problem, because in a crisis basically, or if things turn out bad, those shares could be worthless, could become worthless basically. Whereas if you hold Bitcoin basically, and one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin if you hold Bitcoin, and that's what I've been dwelling upon. I probably won't invest in Strive or Strategy, because I got ripped off by a stockbroker there in London about 20 years ago. It was coming up in 20 years ago. It was after the financial crisis around '09. I sold my shares and they ripped me off. I felt ripped off and I felt cheated, and they had no customer support either. I got an email from them. They were called odls.com. They're with and they merged with an American. They were bought out by an American company, and I don't think I will be investing. I got stinged. I got burned badly um, in that event basically, and I said I'd never invest in stock. I'm just slow to invest in stocks or shares, because you have to trust the broker basically, and the only broker available to me in Ireland that would allow me to buy Strive and Strategy would be Interactive Brokers. The other ones, David, stockbrokers are too expensive basically. They're charging huge fees basically they're only interested in the wealthy people. They're not interested in the small investors, and I think they're charging €140 a quarter in Davy stockbrokers to have investments with them, to hold shares in a nominee account basically, through and have Davy basically uh, represent you basically in the stock market. So that's the story, guys. I wouldn't invest in. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I wouldn't trust any stockbroker. When things turn south basically, and things go wrong and things go bad. If we were invaded by the Russians, we'll say, where would we be basically? Where would we be? How would our investments stack up then? I mean, if you needed to leave Ireland, your shares in Strive wouldn't be worth very much. I would think. That's what I would think anyway. So if you're Irish, buy real Bitcoin basically. Don't invest in Strive or Strategy or any of the Bitcoin treasury companies. That's my message for today anyway, guys. See you tomorrow.